This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Autodesk Sketchbook. Use it to draw, doodle, or capture your ideas visually on Windows, Mac, iOS, Android. You can do all kinds of stuff with it if you're looking to capture your visual ideas quickly and easily. Go to sketchbook.com/thumbs for 25% off an annual membership, or get a free 15-day trial with no credit card required. That is sketchbook.com/thumbs.
I played that and more Lara Croft GO.
I also played more of that, and I could talk about that.
Okay, we talk about it for a few minutes.
Just gotta go.
I thought you said "just gotta go" as if that's the slogan. Lara Croft GO
with
just
Lara
gotta
Croft.
go.
The real fiction is that she needs to use the restroom badly.
Yeah,
and that's why she's just killing the snakes and impatiently.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
You gotta go.
The restroom is hidden across these 6 temples.
Exactly. That's what it feels like sometimes.
This episode is brought to you by Lara Croft GO.
Yeah, exactly.
To get into this bathroom, you must collect these 3 gems and be chased by a huge snake beast. It is September 9th, 2015.
This is Idle Thumbs 227. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Danielle Riendo.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
And I'm Nick.
Rick Brecken.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, I just thought we should get casual. We're at like 200 billion episodes. I mean,
That's true.
Why are we so formal?
There's no reason at all.
I would use the 2 form with you.
There is actually almost no reason at all for us.
Not the instead form?
No, just the 2 form with you.
Like, we introduce ourselves at the beginning of every episode with our full names and no other context. As if that means anything to anyone. Hi there, I'm Jake Rodkin, who you know only from maybe you've heard this podcast before, and you've heard that name said over and over again, and that's the only thing that it means to you. So, hi, Nick.
Hey, Jake.
Welcome.
Rodkin.
Hey, Danielle.
Mr. Rodkin.
Hey, you can call me D or D-Dog.
Hey, D-Dog.
Cool. Can't wait to...
Or D-Horse, I guess.
There you go. Metal Gear humor.
You like my Metal Gear jokes?
So I think 75% of us have been playing more Metal Gear Solid 5 this week.
Yeah.
That's right.
Is my guess.
Oh, I have
5% complete.
I have an important update.
Metal Gear conversation.
That has no bearing in reality on why I haven't played Metal Gear, but is an excuse for why I haven't played Metal Gear, which is that this week I discovered that the video card in my PC is in fact 6 years old. I have the first ever DirectX 10 compatible video card, so I have now... when I go home tonight, I'm going to replace it with a 3-year-old.
Is that the video card that I sent you?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Which was a replacement
for... long.
You gave me an NVIDIA, it was a GTX 200 something, and it would replace my equal year ATI card. But I'm totally excited for this as a host of this PC game focused podcast that I'll be upgrading to a $80 3-year-old NVIDIA card. So maybe I'll actually be min spec for Metal Gear now.
You know what's funny when you're saying that made me realize that. So what DirectX is the new one now?
There's 11 or 12?
12, I believe.
Because as you were saying that, I realized that in my head, I still think of DirectX 10 as the new one.
Yeah.
You know, that's still the one where it's like,
attention.
oh, DirectX 9 is the old one.
There was just also a really big jump in architecture after DX9 that they've kind of kept with. So you sort of land on one side or the other of
it's true.
Of that, I think.
So Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
Good video game.
It's a good video game. It is such a weird video game. Yeah. I have to say, this is my first Metal Gear.
Oh, okay.
We actually got the, Legacy Collection. We had these great grand intentions to play through, or at least taste from all the previous Metal Gears before this came out. And of course, as usual, it did not happen. So I actually started today with this game, and I played the first 3.5 hours-ish or so. First couple of missions, I'm running around in my base. I started upgrading stuff for R&D. And I've been watching my girlfriend play, and she's 12, 13. No, oh my God. She's actually more like in the 20s hours or so. She's doing some of the stuff with Quiet, which is a thing I want to bring up probably later after you both talk a little bit about it. But Um,
We'll talk about how good the game is first.
it's really it's fantastic. Like, it's a great stealth open world game. I mean, it's exactly what you guys were talking about last week, and I'm only sort of at the point where you were both at last week. But I guess I want to ask you both how you kind of deal with the just insane dissonance of, like, this is such a realistic, not realistic, you know, quote unquote, but like in the moment to moment gameplay, it feels
like highly modeled.
Yeah, it feels fairly down to earth. And, you know, like, yes, the guards would hear you if you were crunching on whatever, you know, right behind you. Like, it feels like the simulation aspects are pretty, high fidelity. And then it's demons and fire whales and shit like that. Yeah. I guess this is why it's weird that this is my first Metal Gear.
I mean,
that's
like,
funny. That's the funny thing.
If anything, during the like moment to moment gameplay, this game has less of that than.
Yeah, I think I had like false memories of the earlier. Like, I actually spent some time. I was thinking like, maybe I will go back and play Metal Gear 1 just for a minute. It's kind of hard to find a version that you would actually be able to play acceptably. Like, they remade it anyway. But that was GameCube only. I guess I have a GameCube or like a
There's
Wii
like a
PlayStation
collection of them, but it's not. If you don't have
with the weird
PS4,
Silicon Knights remake that has all the cutscenes.
Oh, Twin
strange.
Snakes,
where they redid all the voice. Anyway, I thought about going back and playing that, and then while I was thinking about it, I was sort of going through the things that I remembered about it. That game's crazy.
Yes.
Like, that game is pretty...
So I've heard.
I mean, it gets pretty absurd pretty fast. I mean, as much as you might remember the first 20 minutes that are directed just like a Michael Bay movie, the rest of it is just nonsense in the same way that this game is. It's just slightly more restrained, maybe? Or you're used to the nonsense that they're already... like the
they
guy
they didn't know what they could get away with yet, maybe?
Yeah, kind of. Like, it was always weird, right? I mean, it was always a really outlandish series. To me, it's like there's a base, you know, that they're just very clearly, it's like very genre, you know, identified. Like, oh, this is a Hollywood action film, and that's the first layer. And then everything that is put into that is just kind of whatever they feel like is kind of, or like whatever makes it interesting or like crazy or you know, like it just like, and that base layer never really changes. Like Cowboy Bebop is a good example of that, I think, because the consistency of that reminds me of this game where it's you're in space and there is gravity and there are like concepts of like space stations and things that are fairly like thought out in terms of what that stuff would be, but also
beyond that, whatever.
There's like whatever. There's like a weird like pinup girl and then like a dog that like jumps around and like I don't know, just weird. There's stuff all sorts like of that. There's just a Japanese sensibility for humor that I think is you know can feel culturally different.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people appreciate that about this, and then of course there are aspects that they don't appreciate.
Sure. Yeah.
I think. That's fair. I think. I think that that fluidity makes it easier to sort of misstep. You know, there's a lot of opportunities for sort of almost sublime absurdity, and my favorite moments of that tend to be the ones that are indulgent with, I guess, sort of the series' own history. So the series has gotten much less binary in terms of things like enemies seeing you and enemies not seeing you and things like that. Then, for example, if you're going all the way back to Metal Gear Solid 1, there's been an evolution over the course of the series, but it's much less binary than that game was. But there are still nods that are, to me, very clear and tongue-in-cheek, such as the like broom, little alert sound that guards have, and the function of things like the cardboard box.
Cardboard box is
which,
the big one,
which exists in a binary state in the sense that you can just summon it out of nothing, but then also has all of this additional granularity that it did not have before. Like you were saying before the cast, Nick, how it's sort of fully physically modeled, and you can kind of slide down a hill with it, like a slide.
Do all kinds of weird
all of these like incredibly intricate ways of representing it in the world, but it's all extending from this totally ridiculous
what an absurd thing.
I pop up a cardboard box and hide inside of it. It's perfect, and that's great.
Right. It's I like that. I mean, that kind of goes back to just the thing that we've sort of been describing in general. I feel like is it's okay for an individual concept to be exceedingly realized and placed into this game, almost sort of in its own silo. And in that way, like what you're saying about the cardboard box, it almost feels like the cardboard box is now Metal Gear Solid Cardboard Box 5 existing inside of Metal Gear Solid 5.
Well, exactly, I mean, like, exactly. And then, the Fulton extraction device, which is crazy balloon that you can use to just zip people off the battlefield.
That to me feels like the perfect example of this where, you could just have the box disappear, right? But they went to the effort of like, the thing just sort of lifts and then the balloon gets attached and it flies out.
And the guy goes, blah!
It's like, oh yeah. I mean, this is a real thing.
And they also, they can potentially die in transit.
Yeah.
This is a weird
if they're
detail.
Injured, they could die from the shock.
And so there's all of those.
He explained it so amazingly.
There are all of those indulgences that I think are hilarious and work really well. But that sort of spirit of indulgence also, I think, leads to things like the quiet character, which is sort of kind of just garbage. Like, a character who dresses, incredibly skimpily despite being a proficient warrior because of like a ridiculous plot conceit that I guess for spoiler purposes we don't really need to say. Suffice it to say it's ridiculous,
really
excuse.
ridiculous. Yes,
yeah, and stuff like that is it's kind of lame.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
I have a lot of feelings on quiet.
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
Everyone does.
I
don't even peruse the internet for infinite opinions about this character, right? Like, I don't know what I'm going to say that's going to be important.
I actually have very mixed feelings on the character, more so than I thought I would. Now, I went in thinking like, oh God, this bullshit, this skimpily clad, character. But getting into the spirit of the game, I actually really like her and her character and sort of the fact she sort of reminded me immediately of like an MMA fighter or something. She is silent. There's all this bullshit around it, but like she actually presents herself as like a I don't want to say quote unquote strong woman character, but she's like a competent warrior, and everybody in the game actually treats her as if she's a threat and a dangerous warrior kind of thing. And I thought that was cool. To me, what undermines it is less the outfit. That's stupid, but it's not a deal breaker for me, I guess. It's the way the camera just zooms in on her cleavage and her butt and like just the way the camera
Those
treats her.
helicopter scenes are atrocious.
Yeah, it's just so ridiculous. And it's kind of like, I get the ridiculous outfit. From one level, I get it because it's a ridiculous game and everything is kind of crazy. And you do see a lot of dudes' butts and things like that. So it's like, I could give somewhat of a pass if it weren't so completely skeevy and gross the way the camera treats her. It's kind of like in fiction, she's treated as like, with at least some degree of respect. Like, she's tough, she knows what she's doing, she's a great shooter, blah, blah, blah. But the camera doesn't treat her the way the fiction treats her. It's like this, I don't know, it really kind of breaks down the entire, idea behind the character in a way that just made me kind of mad. I was like, come on, like this could have been cool. This even with the stupid outfit and the dumb like reason for the outfit, you could have still had a cool character, but it just, I don't know.
Yeah. This is not super relevant, but does anybody know when Kojima left the production of this game? It was before
I don't think
the
he
game
left
was
the
finished,
production.
right?
I think he stuck with, didn't he? I thought that he still oversaw production.
I was just curious.
I think the last thing that he did was hand place those camera angles.
Probably.
There's no way that Kojima gets off the hook for that. You can't have your name.
No.
Okay.
I'm not at all.
I didn't assume you were trying to.
Okay. No. I'm not excusing
just totally
it.
curious.
I'm just curious because there are a lot of aspects of this game that
the actual last thing he did was put his name 48 separate times into 48
I would actually not be surprised if that was
really
one of the last things that he did. If he's like, that other shoe is going to drop fucking soon.
HK.
Here's my proposal.
Yeah.
Let's put stylish credit sequences everywhere in the game as a little joke.
Yeah.
My name's not on the box.
Well, the thing that's so funny is that the ones that are just sort of the sub credit sequences that are just for specific levels flash all the names so quickly that you barely have to, well, not all the names, but like the sort of line developers go by really so quickly that you can't read them. And then created and produced by Hideo Kojima is the good several seconds at the end every time. It's it's kind of obnoxious, but it's so funny that I also mind.
Actually, so I mean, I'm sure people have talked about this, and I haven't played the game at all. But this game was in development for a long ass time, and clearly has to have a pretty big team given how much content is in it.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty goddamn cool that each mission has an opening credit sequence that lists the actual people that contributed to each campaign. Because holy shit, you don't get that if you work on Assassin's Creed or anything.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like the closest you get is if you're working at Telltale Games, they have opening credits for every episode for style reasons, and then you maybe get your name in the beginning of that. But that's you never get that for a mission based.
I agree, and there are cases where there are some missions where like Kojima isn't actually credited as a writer, and so there's just one or multiple other people credited as writers, and that's like a cool thing to see.
That I have for you guys who have been playing it. Has it hit binge watching TV levels yet? Where you notice, I really enjoyed that scenario, and then you notice that the guy's name shows up an hour later. Like, have you caught any through lines of like line developers or sort of like scenario designers whose work you actually can see?
I'm not perceptive enough, but that would be a cool thing to try.
What's more likely is you'd see the credits list and go, "Oh, cool! You made those 3 that I happen to like." You notice it
if
after
someone
the fact.
sort of compiled that
but
later.
It allows that to be a thing. It allows
the idea to be very accurate.
That's possible.
You don't have to wait for the developer interviews or the behind the scenes or the GDC talk or something. A fan can just figure out, oh, this particular crew clearly made the things that I like as a person.
And that's actually really worthwhile in the case of this game, because one of the real triumphs of it is the just sprawling open world level design. It's so Zach McClendon, who was as I recall, the lead designer on BioShock 2, posted on Twitter today about how one of the things that actually ties Metal Gear Solid 5 to Far Cry 2, which is an observation.
It's even more Far Cry 2 in this regard than I thought last week.
Right.
Because of these separate biomes, essentially.
It's right. You have this huge world populated with all of these really well-crafted encounter areas, and then they're all bridged together in a way that is totally seamless and really smart and huge and sprawling in its scope, but detailed down to an incredibly granular degree, which, Nick, you were alluding to last week when you were describing just sort of one little
the Afghanistan map, which is essentially and it does sort of progress in the same way that Far Cry 2 does, which is you sort of like very deliberately travel from one to the next, and then it just kind of becomes unlocked as its own separate thing that you have to like travel to, and you go back to, and then you go back, and you're sort of shifting between them all, as opposed to just, oh, now I'm here for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys know, like, has there been a talk, or do you guys just know how the world was actually built in Far Cry? Because I know, like, for Elder Scrolls games, there have been a lot of GDC talks and sort of just a lot of knowledge generally about the gist of how that works. But with Far Cry, and I guess maybe with Metal Gear, do you guys like, is there a, you have to wonder if the way that granularity works actually is also human assigned, where there's people who figured out the overall world, and then sort of the big bowls that you're then responsible for managing, the people who design just the encounters that take place within that, and then it sort of fractals back out to the main map, or like, what the hell the process for that is. It's got to be crazy.
I obviously have no insider knowledge about this whatsoever, but just based on the way that they do the credits and based on how detailed the mission encounter areas feel, and based on the size of the game, my guess, if I just had to guess, would be that the different mission areas were created with their particular teams. And I'm sure there's plenty of overlap.
And then it's sort of like,
teams.
And that's going to be placed here in the world.
And and then there was probably a comprehensive pass done to sort of normalize across the contiguous areas that, had sort of just a feel pass for
that would be such a crazy GDC talk to hear, though, of just sort
that
of,
would be great.
Because we our mission exists on a contiguous open world map, so then like we declared that these are the valid approaches that then had to be sculpted into the overall terrain so that you could get to them from like, that must be a horrible thing to have to.
Well, he can do that now, can't he? Can't Kojima now do a talk and actually spill all the secrets of Konami?
I could not imagine Kojima giving a nuts and bolts talk about how they built their contiguous world map, though.
Who knows?
Maybe one of his line
speaking
producers.
Of world map, the horse. So sometimes when, as far as I understand it, like when the horse is sort of not practically able to get to you, the horse just kind of appears. But if the horse is can path to you, it actually just paths to you. Like when you call when you whistle for the horse, the first time I did it, I was so far away from my horse because I got off at one end of at the like sort of front, so to speak, of the mission area, and then I ended up on the complete opposite side of it, and I called for my horse, and in the just the game, not on my map, but just in the game, my little faint horse icon that's sort of superimposed over the screen space of the world.
Your HUD horse?
My horse HUD element, yeah. Like, I called for it, and I'm like, man, my horse is taking a long time. And then I realized just far in the background, I could see the little icon just kind of moving around as it made its way all the way over to me. And I just kind of sat there being like,
I've never noticed that, actually.
Oh, really?
Mine always
It doesn't
just
always- it
appears.
doesn't
Maybe
always
it's
happen
just
to me.
maybe it's just rare that Chris happened to whistle and then the horse went boop. Pathfind success. I know how to do it, and then like,
Yeah, and
oh
it did
god,
it all the way.
Yeah,
It was
it might-
40 miles
you
away.
hit the threshold of real time horse pathing.
Yeah, it cracked me up. I was like, it was really early in the game too,
man.
so it was a really funny like introduction to.
I call that
that's
horse
awesome.
at all the wrong times. Like
yeah.
I'll spend like 10 minutes crawling on my hands and knees through like marshland in the dark, and I'll get all the way up to like an area where I've snuck behind the lines, so there are like 30 guys looking the wrong way, and I'm like, this is gonna be good. They don't know what's coming. Whoop, whoop. Like,
Oh, no.
horse, just whoop. Like fuck me, like 30 guys shooting at me and my horse.
Why did you do that?
Oh, I fiddle with that, like, you know, the call thing.
Oh, the little quick
It's a
menu
little bit
thing.
fiddly
Yeah.
to me. It's like the one thing that it feels a little fiddly to me in the game, and I just accidentally do stuff
Yeah.
all the time.
I accidentally do stuff all the time.
Yeah.
This game has so many buttons and inputs
Yeah.
and things you can do, which, you know, can be good, it can be bad. It's just sort of a reality, I guess, of making a game this complex. There are so many different
it's
buttons and combination of buttons.
The quick stuff for me, the D-pad stuff is the stuff that always...
Oh, I'm terrible with the D-pad.
Yeah, it's like I'll put the box on all the time by accident, which just makes you look like an idiot, really. I mean, it's like the best way to die and the worst way to die.
Yeah.
It's just a box just running around, kind of confused, running
Yeah.
into a wall, and then you're dead.
Yeah, Patricia the other day definitely called a box at exactly the moment when another soldier saw her, but luckily
Yeah,
she
I
was
do that
able
all the
to
time.
slide off. She was actually on an incline, and so it was like, hey, I got a box, and then just like
Oh, good. So
just,
she's as the
just took
escape
off,
slide.
like
That's good.
sledded down the
Yeah.
sled, like
Yes.
like sled style. It was awesome, and she made it. She lived too. It was great.
Man, you know, some quick pithy summary for why Far Cry 2 was good and sort of explaining the way that its system worked together at a certain point boiled down to, longtime readers will know this, to the grenade rolls down the hill was the thing that we often said about Far Cry 2, and
That's usually rolling back into you,
yes,
right?
usually back into you.
Yeah.
Tom Francis, who developed Gunpoint and is working on
Heat signature.
Heat Signature, yes, sorry.
He also is a host of the Crate and Crowbar podcast.
Yes, of course. Yes,
Oh, nice.
yes, he podcasts as well. He replied us with a YouTube video that he captured of Metal Gear Solid 5, sort of demonstrating this principle in this game as well. He had this really well planned assault in the middle at nighttime, I think, on an outpost with two guards, and he tossed a smoke grenade to them, you know, into where they were, and then started sort of creeping up with his silenced gun, and then the smoke grenade started rolling back down the hill towards him and enveloped him in smoke. And he actually pulled it off very cleanly,
Nice.
but he was totally taken by surprise and baffled for a moment, then realized, oh my God, the grenade rolled down the hill.
Yeah.
That's so good.
It's good. I mean, last week when you said, like, when we finished recording, you were like, "Oh yeah, the grenades rolled down the hill a bunch of times, but it's not even worth talking about it because, like, you just took it as Nick. You just took it as a given."
Well, yeah. I mean, stuff like that happens in every mission. I mean, that's the thing. Is like this.
But that's
it
what
does
makes it good.
I know. It's really, you know, like for me, Far Cry 2. I mean, the grenade rolls down the hill, yes, but then also the Jeep goes into the lake, and the Jeep goes into the lake. That's happened to me on almost every mission. Where I've just somehow
Good.
gotten myself into some bullshit thing and now have to like dig your way out. And like I think what you said is true, which is that in earlier Metal Gears, that binary thing of, oh, I've been found, and now I have to basically find a hiding place and sit there, and that's really my only recourse.
Just wait for cooldown, basically.
Yeah, basically wait for cooldown. In this game, that whole sequence of events is so much more finely tuned, and there's so much you can do to get out of that situation. And I think that feels like even more so to me than the open world aspect is kind of the thing that's holding my attention, is that when you screw up, it's not just, oh, I guess I've just got to go run into a room and sit there. You know, there are so many things you can do. Like, for instance, just today I had that happen. Like, actually, I was like, it was like a mission to extract a prisoner, which is a very common thing. And the prisoner was inside a little guard camp inside just like a little shack. And so I spent like, 10 minutes, like, slowly crawling my way up to this thing, jumped through the window, and then picked up the guy. And I could see that there were 3 guards just sitting outside of the shack. And so I was like, well, how am I going to get this guy out of here? Like, I'm just going to... So I just sat there for a really long time. And finally, like, I don't know. I was just, like, kind of doing the thing where you just sort of move around while you're thinking, you know, in games. Or, like, where you, like, hit the jump button. And I was just sort of, like, spinning in circles. And I just knocked, like... a weird like jar off a table.
Oh no.
And it just like it hit the ground and then just like slowly rolled up to the thing, and then a guard just happened to like you probably heard the sound, but I just saw him spin, and then you can see them through the door if you've already like marked them.
Oh,
and so I saw him slowly walking up to the door, and he was like, huh? And I was like, oh, I'm stuck in this thing. And then I realized, and you can't like lift a guy through a window. But then I realized you can throw a guy. So I just threw the guy out through the window and then jumped out with him and then dragged him like through the grass, which you can also do. You can just drag people like, you know, on the ground. I just, all these things like, you know, that went on like for 5 more minutes doing weird things to like evade
awesome.
this. They jumped in a Jeep and tried to find me, and all this weird shit happened. But like it worked. And in a normal Metal Gear game, there's like no way. Like I would have been completely like I would have done the thing where I hide in the box and he finds me and that's it. You know, that's basically every Metal Gear game in that same situation. But you know, I'm sure you know people are going to find the limits of this stuff, and it's going to become old hat. But like right now, 10 hours in, it seems like I'm still finding weird new things to do, which is crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really fucking good.
Do either of you have the wolf that goes with
puppy.
you? There's someone sent... Okay, so Roger Chin, who we've mentioned on this podcast before, he made that crazy like remote console system that we told you about. He sent a video that he captured of Metal Gear Solid 5 where he is like sneaking around with the wolf. And I want to know if this is a thing that always happens, or if this is just coincidence that this happens or what. So he's sneaking down the road and then realizes there's an enemy in, you know, a 2-legged mech walker, like a tiny little Metal Gear.
D-walker.
I don't know, is that what, I don't know.
Yeah, you get one later.
Okay.
Good.
So, as a buddy.
So he's on the left side of the road, and his wolf is kind of following along on the right side of him.
Yeah.
And then he hides behind a pile of tires, but the wolf is still kind of exposed because it's just, you know, a few feet to his right. And so this walker comes up, seems to see the wolf, but not Snake. The wolf sees the walker, and the wolf like tenses up. It adopts a really aggressive stance and starts just snarling at the walker. And then they just look at each other for like 10 seconds, and then the walker just turns around and leaves.
It's a systemic thing.
That's awesome.
It'll when there are enemies near, it will sort of point, you know, in the way that a dog goes on point and snarl at, you know, in that direction. So if you're hiding, it will actually sort of like track a guy through the wall just by its smell and just knowing that it's there. And that's what that is. The other crazy thing that thing does is like, I don't know.
I'm hoping that also what's happening here is that the dog hates the robot.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's probably true.
Because it's smart.
It can smell the difference.
Yeah, it knows.
But the other thing it does is, like if you start crawling, it will get down on all fours and put its head between its paws.
Really
like
cute.
It does the stealth
in 90s dogs.
Yeah, it does a 90s dog. There's a dynamic 90s dog moment. I mean, the dog is actually really impressive. Like it paths pretty well. For a game that has a billion other things in it, to do a dog as well as this game does. I mean, there are a lot of games that do the dog at this point. The dog
doing the dog.
This is a pretty good example of a dog. It's shocking.
My favorite thing about the dog, so Patricia just got, not just, but she's been training it, and it's still a puppy at this point, but it greets her every time she comes back to the mother base. And so all the other soldiers, like the staff soldiers, are like lined up to greet boss. And it's like this ceremonious thing. And then the puppy just walks up adorably, just sort of pads up and like greets you and jumps up on you, but everybody's very serious. And it's almost like this is the ceremony of the dog. Like the dog must greet you. This is the way we do things. Like it's
they're all
really
lined up waiting for the dog greeting, basically.
Basically, they're like lined up, like saluting, and then the dog just puppy, you know, it's a little puppy.
It tries to
just
jump
like,
on the helicopter and it falls off.
Exactly.
It's really dumb.
really adorable and like treated like this serious moment. It's great.
Also, how much do I love the helicopter custom music feature?
Oh, it's so good.
Okay, yes, you posted a video of your.
Man,
how do you access? So all right, so Nick Brecken posted a video, an amazing video.
Just Nick.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Nick posted a video. No, in this case, Nick Brecken posted a video to YouTube of him playing Metal Gear Solid 5 with a, NPC on his back getting ready to extract, and he calls in the helicopter. And as the helicopter starts to approach the landing zone, you hear the strains of the theme to Curb Your Enthusiasm, like wafting from it, and that is apparently playing from your helicopter.
Yep.
I didn't know you could use your own music in the helicopter.
Yeah, so there's a speaker upgrade that lets you play music blasting at the beginning and at the beginning of a mission as you land, and at the end of a mission as you leave.
God, it was amazing.
In the tape player or whatever, there's an option to mark. There's a folder on PC that's just drop any MP3, and it's like very early 2000s option. Right.
Yeah.
And then it works perfect.
It's like the original Xbox.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, exactly.
It's very on Blade.
And you can mark any of them as your helicopter music. TV intro theme songs so far are my entire
Belvedere.
list, like Sanford and Son, just like every.
Oh my God, Sanford and Son.
Every single song is a theme song, and it's the best thing in the world.
Also,
especially the landing. The landing with the Curb Your Enthusiasm, because it's like a prelude to being an idiot, right? So it's just steak, and it starts. What the best thing about it is the cutscene starts with him getting ready, and it's like the swooshy camera, and he's like got his guns, and he throws the helicopter door open. And then it's just, it's just so good. And then you like drop and roll, and then it's slow. It fades out in the same way the episode intro fades out because the helicopter just flies away over a mountain. Oh,
there are also cassettes you can get in the game that have music on them. Is that correct?
It's all 80s, stuff. Usually covers, but yeah.
But why have that when you can have the Sanford and Son theme?
Yeah, you can just get the Seinfeld theme and just
fucking Seinfeld.
It's the best.
Good.
Yeah, because honestly, like an actual musical track is too long for it to be effective because it's really just like 30,
doesn't have a shitty jingle. It's perfect.
So the jingle is what you want. This is my pro tip for this game. Get a jingle.
Get your jingle.
Everybody choose. Yeah, send in your favorite jingle.
Got to be
game.
the ultimate.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yes.
For those who backed our Kickstarter at an incredibly high tier, Chris's Metal Gear Solid Helicopter Jingles pack.
Yeah, I think what you want is Curb Your Enthusiasm for your starting music and Cheers for your closing music.
No, that's a good one.
That's
a good one.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
This game is. Oh, go ahead.
Vocal version of Full House theme and instrumental version of Full House theme.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh man. Also a good choice.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So that's my favorite thing right now.
This game is great. I know I'm going to be playing it all the time.
Yeah.
When I should be playing other things.
Mm-hmm. No, and actually, while I was playing it and thinking about Far Cry 2, the video that Chris and I made of me trying to ambush a caravan, there are several missions in this game that are exactly that thing.
Yeah.
Like it's very clear that they played and thoroughly enjoyed and took from Far Cry 2. I
really hope that's true.
I think it's actually the case. Having played the game more, there are too many similarities at certain... something like that that's very specific. You see on the map the path of the truck. It's very clearly shaded. You have to ambush the truck. You can do it however you want to. The truck just goes in circles. I mean, it's literally just that Far Cry 2 convention.
That's cool.
Yeah. And of course, the same goofy garbage happens where you like blow up the lead thing, but then the guy that you really want in the middle of the convoy just starts racing away, and you have to chase him down and you get run over, and it's really good. Yeah. Yep. Good game.
Awesome.
Well, yeah. Before we bounce too far off of this, just because we talked about it for just so briefly. Danielle, your criticism of Quiet, actually, sorry, I've been thinking about it while you guys are talking. It really bums me out. Not because of your opinion, but because I feel like it's maybe the most damning criticism of that character that can exist, because there's no room for any excuse or any justification.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If it's just the directorial gaze on that character,
It is thoroughly gratuitous.
Death of the author is not allowed when the author is actually just zooming in on a pair of boobs. And like that's just it's
literally the
death of the author works fine. Doesn't make any difference. It's this is what's in the game. Like it's garbage.
I mean, but you could leave so much more open for interpretation if the camera just stepped back and presented things the way that it would present anything else. But
it's presented in the sort of like a Japanese convention of fan service.
Yes.
I mean, it's literally that thing. There's no getting around it. I did want to actually briefly mention, though, I mean, the reason I was just curious, I mean, this sort of unrelated to this, I was curious about when Kojima left, because a lot of this game is unfinished, it feels. Like, a lot of, I watched a video, there's the whole ending of the game that didn't get finished. There's like a 30-minute cutscene that's just there in like a half-finished form in the game files that you can find.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah, you can Google that. It's on Kotaku. I think maybe even Patricia posted about it.
Probably, yeah.
It's super weird. And then there are other aspects of this game that feel like that to me. One of them, I think, is that character creation beat at the beginning, and I'll tell you why. Because people have found now that you can play as a woman in this game. You can find
if you finish the game, yeah.
You don't have to finish the game.
No.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
you can. Yeah, I already have her.
For some reason, I thought you had to.
No.
Yeah,
so you can. Yeah, you can extract a female prisoner or whatever. Like all the guys you Fulton extract or whatever are considered prisoners, and then they get sent back to your base, and then some. Yeah, and then you can play as a lot of them, one of them, and I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's just that each game there's only one female that you can find, and like it becomes part of your crew, and it's just a random like generation. It's really odd. Anyway, but it's possible.
Yeah.
But then they went to the extent of actually
Well, there's a particular side mission that you can just do
but everybody's female snake or whatever looks different, so it's very strange. In any case, the thing I wanted to say is that they went to the trouble of like voicing this character. So like in the game, if you like harass somebody, Snake will be like, tell me what you know or whatever, and they threw female voice in for this, but it feels like almost an afterthought in a weird way. And I'm wondering how much of this game was just like, we spent 5 years making this game. Here are the things we'd like to do.
Here's some sketches.
I guess we'll put it in sort of like a weird half-finished form. Because
someone said it's done enough.
Yeah. And I mean, that happens with open world games in general.
The article that I read, which was actually on Polygon, I think, about the woman protagonist that you can play as, is that Snake himself, the author of the piece made this sort of observation that Snake himself has almost no voiceover.
It's true.
And so the woman character you can play as has basically the same amount. Like they're equally voiced.
Yeah. That is a really strange aspect of this game too. Is just a modern game to this level of budget and fidelity.
But this
and the protagonist feels like Zelda or like Link. It's really like Metroid. It's very
it's weird
odd.
Also that they're like, guys, we got Kiefer Sutherland. Fuck David Hayter, he's out. We got A-list celebrity. Anyway, you have like 30 barks.
He says 10 things,
It's so weird. Yeah.
It is weird. And I saw that today I obviously had the wrong idea about how you unlock this character, but I thought like, oh, that's really cool. You can play as a woman Snake. Like, that's awesome. I'm excited. And then like the quiet stuff felt like, again, like they're trying to do this fan service thing while also having her be like, kind of a cool character who's tough and interesting, and maybe there's something to her, it just bums me out when there's that aspect that kind of just
that feels maybe too finished than not finished.
You're right.
They might have gone too far with that character.
A little too much on the camera there. They fell asleep on the zoom button.
Finish less of that stuff.
Yes, with minus the gross camera stuff, I would be able to take this character with a grain of salt.
You guys want to take a break?
Yes,
sure. Yeah.
Video game. This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Casper Mattresses. These are American-made mattresses at a shockingly fair price. I have slept on a Casper mattress. It is an extremely good mattress. They come, we've mentioned this before, they come in a hilarious, shockingly compressed little package that explodes out into a full mattress.
It explodes and then from there it's sort of a slow rise.
Yes, that's true. Legitimately comfortable, good mattresses. And they start at like $500. They're very reasonable. And if you go to casper.com/thumbs and use the code thumbs, you get $50 towards any mattress purchase.
Nice.
But yeah, they have a whole like trial and return policy. You can try it for 100 days. So, you can be completely sure that the Casper mattress is actually what you want. And if it is, you keep it and it's good.
That's awesome.
So,
I'll have to try this because I am going to be in the running for a new mattress soon in a new apartment. So.
That's true. You're moving to New York.
Yeah.
You know the exact URL to go to for a cheap mattress.
I sure do.
What is it?
Casper.com/thumbs.
That is exactly right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Casper.
You're welcome, Chris.
Video game. This episode of Idle Thumbs is also very appropriately brought to you by Parachute, an online betting brand based in Venice Beach, California.
A brand of sheets that I'm sleeping inside of currently. Not literally right now, because we're recording a podcast, but when I go home this evening, I will be sleeping in them. They're really comfortable to sleep in. It's really nice to have a nice set of sheets on your bed. It's it's like a thing that you take for granted until you have nice, really comfortable bedding that you sleep inside of, because
And then you realize,
oh, right, I'm dumb for not caring about this before. Right. It's all very clean.
You like that in a sheet? Yeah.
I mean, not like it's not clean. Like, yes, they are very clean. The sheets are not dirty, but also the styles are very like. It's a very classy, clean style of sheet. Mm-hmm. Like our bedding before, just because personal choice, whatever, was very patterned and stuff, and we were sort of concerned the Parachute sheets would maybe be boring or something. But our bedroom now actually just looks incredibly bright and stylish. It was actually really shocking and weird, to have a nice, clean looking room.
Oh,
it's very cozy. It's a good sheets.
Well, there you go. And if you go to parachutehome.com/thumbs and use the promo code thumbs, you will get $25 off your first order.
Oh, nice.
Parachute bedding.
Do it.
Video game.
Think about the amazing bed you could have after listening to this episode of Idle Thumbs.
Yeah.
If you're a bed frame manufacturer and you're looking to get in on this, you're missing out.
Yeah,
because the complete package is almost here.
It's true.
Danielle, my dream is that you move to New York and you just entirely have like a podcast house. Oh, I'm Nick Bracken. Nick Breedon.
That's
Rick
sad.
Reckon.
People used to call me Rick at
Yeah?
Bethesda. I don't know why.
Did they just not know your name?
No, they knew my name. That was just the office, Seinfeld office nickname that they chose.
That's a real what? Hey, this guy's name's Nick. Let's call him Rick. Yeah, Rick. Yeah, Rick. You're Rick now.
They call me Rick Bracken. I don't know. It's just like very strange.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel like Rick Reckon is
Rickolas.
a wrestling name.
Rickolas Bracken.
Yeah.
Release the Bracken.
Yeah, they would say that as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Called it.
It's too bad.
Also, I live across the hall from a Carolyn Bracken, which is very confusing for packages.
I live across the hall from a Rick Bracken.
That would be weird.
Yep.
I live across the hall from a Rickolas Bracken.
I keep getting his email.
Hi, babe. It's me, Rickolas. Yeah.
I'll see you at the cruise. Yeah, remember that time that you got Rickolas Bracken's Macklemore tickets? Rickolas Bracken Macklemore. That's the full name.
Anyway, are we back, I guess?
Oh, we never left. That whole thing was part of the
We've
podcast.
done here.
So I forgot to talk about this last week. Or maybe we just didn't have time because the podcast was long. But I was playing Satellite Rain,
Ooh.
which is a game whose name I had seen a few times. It's Satellite Rain, spelled REIGN, not ARAIN, and it's like a kind of reminds me of Shadowrun a little bit. It's sort of a cyberpunk squad-based real-time tactics game. So it's not turn-based. It's actually real-time. You have your unit of 4, little cyberpunk people, and you're moving them around, I guess fittingly, since we've been talking about Metal Gear, this huge open world where you go on sort of core story missions as well as side missions, and you're directing them in a way that feels like a turn-based tactics game, but again, it's in real time. And so you have your hacker and your infiltrator, and each one has different skills, and you level up their skills, and you can hack into computers and fight enemies and equip different weapons, and you do a lot of sneaking around and infiltrating and things. And it's really, really, really fun. I actually did not get into the new Shadowrun game very much, and for whatever reason, this one really just grabbed me. I really, really, sorry. I really, really like Satellite Rain. There's just something about it that I guess much like Metal Gear Solid 5 on a much smaller scale really hits a spot that I like in terms of a midpoint between, direction and like goals to achieve and open kind of large connected world and strategies that are up to you. One of the things I really like about it is that you have these core missions you have to do, sneak into a big compound and acquire some data or what have you. And then you can sort of find informants and pay them off and then get additional information and do other side quests first to like disable security or to, there will be fewer guards available because they're distracted by something because you've done this other side thing, and you can uncover a different alternate entrance that's less heavily guarded, and it's just cool. You're making your way around the city and you can siphon money from ATMs. You can install these like money siphons. It just feels like the whole world is all part of a system, and you're really taking advantage of all the systems that the world runs on through your hacking and infiltration and all the things you're doing. And these this information that you're buying from informants. And it's just really cool. The whole thing feels really smart and really well put together and really dynamic in a way that I like. And I don't have as many sort of hilarious stories, not as in a Metal Gear Solid 5 game. It's just it's a less outrageous game. It's much it's much more grounded and much more sort of restrained. And it's also a smaller game. It was a Kickstarted game, and so it's made by a smaller team and has the appropriate scope to match. But within that scale, feels really well built out and intricate and robust. I like it a lot.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to try this. Not that I'm great at tactical games, but I feel that this might be one for me.
Yeah, give it a shot. Yeah.
Nice.
It's cool. It's called Satellite Rain, REIGN, and it's good. You can get it on Steam. That's where I got it.
Awesome.
This is a potentially dumb question, but what does that name mean relative to the game?
Oh, I'm not the person to ask.
Okay.
I don't pay tons of attention. People listen to this podcast probably know I don't often pay like a huge amount of attention to sort of lore and stuff. Although one funny lore thing about this game is that the sort of head of the sinister corporation, like most cyberpunk things, there are sinister corporations in it. And the sort of chief of this big organization that's at the center of the city and is like a big component in a lot of your goals is Steven Dengler, the guy who like has invested in a number of prominent Kickstarters and was an Idle Thumbs Kickstarter investor and or backer, I should say, not investor. And he's just his name is just in the game. I had no idea, and so I loaded the game up, and within like 3 minutes of the introductory sequence is the classic sort of collage of news media reports, kind of and CEO Steven Dengler rebuffs allegations that his corporation, like what the hell is this? I had no idea. It totally cracked me up. And he just like comes up in emails that you find.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's it. It's good that this is sort of the healthy version of that, which is clearly he just was a notable force in funding this game,
right?
And it's not just a hit piece against Steven Dengler, where it's like, because the dark version of this is the one where Dengler says, "Oh yeah, I'll help you out," and then he like, backs out of his own
right,
deal, and they make the game anyway. But they're like, "Fuck you, Dengler."
Yeah.
Oh man.
This is the good, hilarious version of that.
Yeah. It cracked me up that he was the bad guy.
That's really good.
Yep. So I really like this game. It's tough to try and split the very limited free video game time I have between Metal Gear Solid 5 and Satellite Rain, because they're both the kinds of games where the more you put in, the more you get out.
Yeah.
Like neither of them is a lean experience. I mean, they're both lean in their own way, in the sense that, you can be very economical with your play, but there's tons of shit in them, and so you can sink a lot of time. But it's enjoyable in both cases. The other game I've been playing that has fit in the little gaps of time that these games do not fit in, Jake, I know you've been playing as well still, is Lara Croft Go for mobile.
Which we talked about last week for a few minutes, but you beated it? You complete the game?
I did. I beated it. I complete the game. Yeah, I finished all the levels, and so I got to the end of the game, but I found myself taking longer than I would otherwise have to do that because I got so into tracking down all the collectibles, which is generally not something that I care about. I usually start trying to do some of the collectible stuff and then almost immediately just completely lose interest and don't care at all because I don't care about the sort of made up reward of just seeing a number. But in this game, you unlock alternate outfits for Lara Croft.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I've not collected enough things, I guess, for that to happen.
Each world, if you collect all of the animal sculpture pieces for that one world, each world has its own alternate outfit you unlock. And whatever, that shit is just cool. A thing that caused me to notice when you go into the alternate outfit interface menu, you kind of zoom in on Lara Croft a bit to sort of, choose whatever alternate outfit you want. And it made me realize that the level of detail in her model is basically the same as the original Tomb Raider.
Yeah, that's the thing that struck me seeing the just logo. Is I just read it as that immediately. I was like, oh, they just basically remade the Tomb Raider 1 model.
Yeah, it's really funny.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool to see. Just not for any reason other than just if you played Tomb Raider 1 15 years ago or whatever.
Or read a gaming magazine.
I don't want to accidentally be making this up, but I think it was either on the Idle Thumbs forums or someone who tweeted about it, but I think that the art director on Lara Croft Go is a person who actually was an artist or senior artist or lead on one of the old Tomb Raider games.
Man, that's amazing.
And
that's cool.
There was some just Q&A with them that was linked where they said, yeah, it's weird. I guess the only Tomb Raider games I'm ever going to make are these are lo-fi ones, but not that
because there's no way that such a person could have continuously worked.
No. I think it's just sort of like you're in the industry for a while. You work on an old PS1 or 2 Tomb Raider, and then a decade later, you're doing the iOS super stylish, weird, hip Tomb Raider.
No, in between, he was working on the DS, the PSP version of Tomb Raider.
No, man, oh man, this guy just kills it at making low-res Lara Croft.
Yeah. God.
Oh, that's cool though.
That reminds me. Let me see if I can find this. We got an email actually from the community manager at Square Enix Montreal, which made this game,
saying you guys fucked it up. This is what this. That's cool that you completed Lara Croft Go.
Yeah, I really liked that game a lot. The more it went on, the more just really great pieces of level design and puzzle design there are. They keep adding, it's exactly what you want in a game like that. They just keep adding little mechanics.
Yeah, it's funny. I mentioned this on the forums, but when I first started playing that game, I definitely was in the mindset of Hitman Go, and I was playing it for that sort of precision and sort of optimized play, and it was not really enjoyable. But when I started playing it more in the headspace that I played Monument Valley in, of more just exploring and feeling it out, it really clicked. Yeah. But Lara Croft Go does what Monument Valley did not do for me, which was just get really fucking hard. It just got fucking hard.
Monument Valley very frequently, I ended up kind of falling back on, I'll just keep kind of walking around and flipping switches, and eventually
Monument Valley
get
felt like it was
scratching
at the greatness of its promise.
And the those red expansion puzzles.
Dude, I never got those because they were only available for a month.
Oh, that sucks, because those were really felt like, okay, they understand how to make their game now.
Yeah.
But Lara Croft Go really feels like they got it in the game on the first try. They really
between last week and this week,
I count Hitman.
Yeah, I crossed over into the second half of the single player campaign, and it gets there's a lot of shit going on. It gets really cool.
Mm-hmm. So even though we're not in Reader Mail yet, I'm going to read this email from Nicholas Bertrand Verge. He writes, "Hey Thumbs, last week Chris and Jake were wondering how Hitman Go came about. The studio was founded in 2001 with the mission to make a new AAA Hitman game. That project was canceled, and it was decided that the studio should focus on bringing the Western franchises of the Square Enix portfolio to mobile. At that point, some devs simply left to pursue AAA careers, while those who decided to stay were split into small teams to work on pitches and prototypes for new mobile games. It was decided that the first games of the studio would be from the Hitman franchise, as that had already been studied for the canceled AAA game. 2 games came out of that exercise, Hitman Go and Hitman Sniper, the studio's first 2 games. Danielle Lutz, creative director of the Go games, stated that the team had 3 primary artistic inspirations for Hitman Go: architectural models, dioramas, and the rich kids of Instagram Tumblr.
Nice.
His GDC talk on Hitman Go is also available on the GDC Vault, designed by Constraints. Hope this answers the question. Nicholas Verge, community manager, Square Enix Montreal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool of him to write in.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the Instagram.
Yeah, I went and looked at that
so
Tumblr
good.
blog, and it was gross. It made me feel
Yeah, that is an intense an intense
it's like
Tumblr.
millionaire kids with yachts and like $1 million
Just
watches. It was really strange to see. Yeah.
I had a game I wanted to mention briefly,
Oh, go for it.
and especially because it was shown to me by a real life clown. I walked.
All right.
Well, you win.
I walked into work the other day. I had an appointment, and it was a game I had already played the demo of called Dropsy, a point-and-click hug venture, which is a sort of classic-style point-and-click adventure game that actually does a lot of cool things with visual language, but I'll just tell the story as it is. I had an appointment to see this game, and I noticed a clown, fully in makeup, the hair done, the giant shoes, the clown outfit, all of it was hanging around outside my office. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Okay. And I didn't quite put 2 and 2 together until I was upstairs at my office.
Game.
And I was like, oh, right. And so my office here in San Francisco, Polygon people, we kind of go there to do appointments or to do certain things, but we're not there every day, pretty much. Usually, most of the Polygon folks here on the West Coast kind of work from home. And so that office is mostly like salespeople and like some of our bloggers from like our fashion and like real estate sites. So these are not like the kind of people who are used to seeing weird, wacky, off the wall kind of shit all the time, where it's like
fashion
video. Well, yes, fashion. Maybe they see some weird things.
Hopefully
You're
they
absolutely
thought
right.
the clown was there for the fashion site at first.
Well, they were all sort of talking amongst themselves, like, "Did you see the clown outside? Oh my god!" Like, I'm terrified of clowns, and I was just like, I think he's here for me.
Sorry, sir, for us.
He's here for Polygon.
Polygon clown.
And they almost murdered
Sorry, it's
me.
the video game site, guys.
Yeah, that's basically that was exactly what it was like. And I was just like sheepishly like, I think it's for me. He's here for me. And they were like, no, shut up. Like, you're not serious. And then of course the clown came up and made his rounds and tried to hug everyone, because that's Dropsy's thing, is that he hugs people. There's a dedicated hug button in this game.
Was the clown a developer?
The clown was hired by the publisher, I
The
believe.
game? Did he know the game?
So the clown
Does the clown have like PAX booth babe rules where the clown
Like,
has
is the
to...
clown just like, is the clown basically a singing telegram who just shows up, gives you the thing, and goes, great, and you know how to play this?
You know what to do. The clown never spoke. He was accompanied by the developer and
boy.
a person from the
On a
publisher.
leash.
The clown could only yell out the pillars of the game design.
The clown was named Quiet the
Visual
Clown.
language. Yes, quiet the clown. It was weird that he was in a bikini and ripped tights. I didn't know why. But, he was.
Oh, man.
It was a wonderful experience. I sat on a couch this size. For readers at home, for the listeners,
like
this
a love
couch
seat,
is like a love
basically.
seat. It's basically made for 2 people, but this was 3 people on the couch. The clown was between me and the developer.
All
That's
4 of
good.
us record the podcast squeezed into a love seat together.
Yes, it's very comfortable and cozy. So I played the game some more and got a demo from the developer, and the game is actually fantastic, I think. At least so far, I played an early demo, but it's coming out tomorrow on the 10th on Steam and all that good stuff. A classic point-and-click adventure, but with the clown is the protagonist, and it kind of
That
rides the
clown?
line. He looked a lot like him. Yeah, Dropsy. They ride the line between this is a horrifying, terrifying-looking clown, but he's actually nice and wants to make the world a better place. So all the puzzles in this game are just making people happy around you in this city. And it's all like cartoonish, somebody needed something and somebody died or somebody was sick and you have to make them happy.
Someone was murdered.
Someone was murdered and bloody. Yeah.
In a storm drain.
There are definitely nightmare sequences in the game.
Yeah, this game has weird surreal
Yes.
dream stuff
Yes,
in it
there's
as well,
weird
right?
dream
Okay.
sequences and things like that going on.
This game visually to me looks like, this is probably not a great comparison because I haven't played that much of the game, but just the bits I've seen look like Sam and Max Hit the Road meet Day of the Tentacle.
A little bit.
The
but
way
like melted slightly.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Made of melted Legos, kind of. Kind of what they're going for. It's actually a really charming and sweet game that kind of looks a little fucked up, but that's the point, is that it looks a little fucked up, but actually is sweet and kind of nice. And all of the language in the game is just sort of, everything is sort of a pictograph. There's no actual speaking or English language in anything. And I really like that. And it's simplified to sort of suit that. So when somebody needs something, you'll see a little pictograph that hints towards what they actually need, that kind of thing. So the puzzles are really fun and pretty clever. I like the visual style. I actually think it's very charming, and a clown showed it to me. So I'm actually pretty excited for this one.
And it's called Dropsy.
Dropsy, a point and click hug adventure.
Cool.
Yes.
All right.
It's one weird game demoed by a clown. Sorry.
Yep. You guys want to do some reader mail? Actually, you know what? Before reader mail, I need to do something important before Nick Brecken has to leave, if he has to leave. We, like weeks ago, I think, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we talked about Samantha West, whom we understood to be a robot telemarketer. In reality, Samantha West is not really a robot, but sort of a like human-assisted like soundboard kind of script.
It's like a flash soundboard that presents as a person who's helping you on the phone, right?
But the time reporter who wrote the story that we referred to a few weeks ago recorded one of his conversations with this like person, this entity, and I feel like it points more towards our robot future than the current technology would allow the actual robot version to be. And I want to play. So
this is like, imagine, this is like a person on the other end of a soundboard basically starting to sweat profusely when unable to answer these questions, I imagine, right?
Yeah. So here, let me just, I'm going to cue this up. The thing that we were talking about a few weeks ago, but had not actually heard ourselves.
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm calling about an online request you once made about health insurance coverage.
Okay.
I work with all major companies and compare...
Hey, are you a robot?
What? No, I am a real person. Maybe we have a bad connection. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's crazy. You just sound so much like a robot.
I am a real person. Maybe we have a bad connection. I'm sorry about that.
Will you tell me you're not a robot? Just say I'm not a robot, please.
I am a real person.
I mean, I believe you, but will you just say I'm not a robot? It'll make me feel better to hear you say it.
There is a live person here.
But I know there is. It would just make me feel so much better to hear you say I am not a robot.
What?
If you could say the words, I'm not a robot, it would really mean a lot to me.
I am a real person. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I just want to hear you say, I am not a robot.
Yes, I'm a real person.
Right, but will you say I'm not a robot?
Jesus.
Are you there? Enrollment Center?
What?
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Let me ask you a couple of questions. Are you currently on Medicare?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Now let me ask you a question.
Medicaid or looking for Medicaid?
We'll go, you ask me a question, then I'll ask you a question. How about that?
Sure.
Okay, are you a robot?
No.
Will you say I'm not a robot?
That's it.
Oh, no! Oh,
Samantha.
one answer away from
So
the
close.
end, really.
So close.
So
Yeah, those are the conversations you're going to have with basically like the robot. Like, but that reminds me of weirdly is the It's a stupid reference to pull, but when the weird bug alien inhabits the guy in Men in Black,
yeah.
like just a thing that presents as human.
Right.
The more you engage with it, the more it becomes incredibly uncomfortable, and eventually you just part of your body is removed and laying on the floor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so strange.
Yeah, it is. Also, before we forget, we have to thank a couple people for a couple things that we have been sent in the mail recently. Yes. So, first of all, this was a couple weeks ago, and we really we're terrible in neglecting to thank this reader. So, Andy, aka Jeffawup on the forums, sent us a copy of his favorite board game, Dungeon Lords. It is a huge, massive, impressive board game set that he sent that we have on good authority is a really fun board game. It's been sort of, once people in the office saw that we possessed it, people started pointing out that it is a really good game. So I'm looking forward to finding some time to play that. He said it reminded him of the video game Dungeon Keeper, which we've mentioned computer game, which we've mentioned positively in the past. So thank you, Andy, aka Jofawup.
Thank you, Andy.
Also, we need to thank David, aka Secret Agent Man from the forums, for our latest ridiculous supply drop of candy
and snacks,
and
junk food delivery.
Yeah. Which has basically grown every time he has sent us more of it.
It's also because we keep acquiring hosts.
That's true. We have more people on the podcast now, which means more snacks we delivered. Actually, Nick Brecken got...
Oh, I'll just go get Nick's candy right now.
Okay, yeah. Jake's going to go get Nick's candy. I was sent a huge box of goldfish, which I dearly love. And Danielle, you were sent... What do you think?
Junior Mints!
You were sent Junior Mints.
Yay!
Exactly.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm. But Nick Brecken does not yet know what he was sent. And now, Jake... These are...
If it is unclear what they are, you can read the small label.
That's so good.
The label says, baby pacifier shaped canned Un's bulk with bonus item new.
Yeah, you got some candy
a bag
pacifiers.
Full of candy baby pacifiers for Nick Brecken. For Nick.
Yay! For the
Much
babe
like
of
a baby,
the cast.
he doesn't use his surname.
No, they smell like the marshmallows from cereal, which
Ooh.
reminds me of being a baby.
That's what I actually thought they were.
You should eat some of them and see what they taste like.
I don't make a mess.
Nick?
Just like a baby.
It's really... Nick, you have to eat these on the air.
It's okay.
Oh, and Jake got
I'll eat them
Nerds
for
Ropes,
next week.
obviously.
I got Nerds Ropes.
Actually, speaking of... oh, go ahead.
I might have finally, hit the cusp on Nerds Ropes. I might be on the Nerds Ropes, and I might have had a falling out after this most recent box of Nerds Ropes. It might be too much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sending such delicious
thanks.
treats.
Yeah, thanks, David.
I was going to mention real quick. He mentioned the board game. I played a game.
Oh, yeah.
That is not a board game, but it is a
tabletop game.
Tabletop game.
Gotta eat these pacifiers. Sorry, Nick.
Do it.
Anyway, talk about this game, and I'll
just
open this baby
briefly mention. So I was looking
Jake's
for
just going to overwrite your description.
it's just
Bag sounds.
that's a tough one. It's baby proof.
It's baby proof.
It is.
There's a weird cardboard thing inside of it. Anyway,
Yeah.
continue to talk about Star Wars.
So I mentioned last week I bought this game called Star Wars Armada, which is a miniature tabletop game, which I've never played one of those. Well, I played Hero Quest back when I was a kid.
Classic.
I still have my original Hero Quest.
wow.
So do I.
With all of the cards filled in with bullshit stats and just
Perfect.
dumb names that I liked. Oh, it's pretty good. But
Man, we got to get our hands on that.
oh, I can bring it in. It's really dumb. I just cheated the whole way, and I also just Anyway, so I've never really played a game like this.
This is Star Wars Armada? That's what it's
Yeah,
called?
and the concept is, so there's a game called Star Wars X-Wing, which is sort of the, larger scale version of this. So Star Wars X-Wing, like an X-Wing takes up a large spot on your table, whereas in this game, The X-wings are very, very small, and it's more of a like tactical, like
so
large
this
scale.
Is a grander
view.
scale.
It's a grand scale miniature.
Armada.
Yeah, you're playing as one
Capital
side
ships.
of an armada. Yeah. And I heard good things about it, and I've been looking for specifically. I didn't know this game existed, but I was looking for a game that was a 2-player game because I don't often do like board game nights or anything, and so I wanted something that was like relatively like easy to set up and take down and just mess around with. So I played this game with my girlfriend Janelle, and I was initially really apprehensive about playing a game like this with her because she doesn't play board games or card games, and we don't always play well together when it comes to like competitive things because I get very competitive and she beats me a lot. Even though it's like a Street Fighter thing where I'm like, well, I played 20 hours of this, get ready to, and then she just mashes X and then kills me, and then I get very upset. And like we actually played like a fighting game once, and we didn't speak the rest of the day.
Oh,
so,
no!
I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but she'll probably write in and say I'm not. So anyway, I was very apprehensive. I will say very quickly, this game is actually really great. So the thing that you do, you build decks of cards. This is just baby talk.
Jake's being weird over there.
Yeah. I found some things in that baby candy, so we're gonna have to get back to it in a second.
The best kind of reader
What's in the
mail.
baby candy, Jake?
Well, I'm not going to tell
From the
you
field.
yet.
Finish up Armada here.
Just remember that it said with bonus item on that generic-looking label. There is an actual bonus item that I just got a glimpse of and stopped looking at whatever the fuck it was. So let's talk about Star Wars Armada some more, and then we can talk about the bonus item.
So this game is played on a very large tabletop, which I don't have, but I managed to sort of like extend it. It's like a 3-foot by 6-foot tabletop.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually the way the game works is it's all based on the position of the ships in real space. So it's a lot of like there are 2 measuring sticks the game comes with, one for shooting and one for moving. And the one for moving actually has like segments of this stick that all click certain amount of clicks. And so when your ship is moving, say at like speed 3, you reference like on a card, on the ship card, it'll say at speed 3, this ship can move 1 click to the left on the first segment, 2 clicks on the second segment, and 3 clicks on the third segment.
You can rotate to make curved paths?
Right. And so, and at the same time, your ship is set at a certain speed. And so you reference that speed, and you can't move slower than that speed. You're always moving at the speed at which your ship is currently moving. And in order to change your speed, you kind of have to sacrifice, like, there's a whole command mechanic where you queue up commands on each ship, hide what the command is, and then you only draw 1 command per ship each round. And so the effect is essentially that you are like
Robo Rally. Not really.
yeah.
But I like Robo Rally.
Yeah, so the effect is that you're giving commands as a commander, and they're sort of playing out, 1-2 turns down the line, and that also that your speed, being so difficult to change, simulates the sort of momentum of larger ships that are kind of like careening.
That almost has a
like
Neptune's Pride type of situation to it, like a tiny scale.
Yeah, yeah.
But where you program a destination and then go, I've locked this in.
Right. So I spent a lot of money on this,
Yeah,
and I have Janelle was playing the Empire because it's slightly easier, and she had 2 Star Destroyers that sort of started at one end of the map and which is our table, and another end of the map. And by like turn 3, she had basically simulated the effect of like the Empire Strikes Back moment where 2 Star Destroyers just sort of like accidentally, chasing my ships, just accidentally start like flying towards each other and then get completely screwed. And there are all these mechanics for like, if you collide with a ship, do this, take damage. If you it's just hilarious. Like it actually plays out kind of simulating what something like this would actually look like. It's a really good game. I would recommend it a lot.
All right, Star Wars Armada.
It's not cheap, but it's actually really, really fun. And they're releasing an expansion soon that seems really good.
Jake cannot contain himself.
So what is the bonus item?
Oh man!
I opened it just because I wanted to eat the candy, and then I saw that there was what I thought was
Says every kid.
Yeah, well, I thought that there was like there was what looked like a piece of cardboard that I thought was somehow like they've set, like the preservative or something.
Figure or
Yeah.
something?
Nick, I glanced at what appeared to be a bunch of folded sheets of paper, and then I said,
my.
Nick can just read whatever this is. I don't know what it is.
Oh my!
So there you go. Inside of the bag of baby pacifier candy is another Ziploc bag containing a bunch of cardboard.
All right, I'm watching Nick open the second bag. He's pulling out the cardboard. It's like several sheets
here
of
we go.
cardboard.
Nick has a lot of anticipation on his face.
It's folded.
The cardboard is folded and has a piece of paper inside of it.
More cardboard.
It's a license. It's a little card that looks like a license plate for like a Big Wheels, and it says SK8 or Skate.
Okay.
As a cool kid would call it. That's one down.
Good.
Let's see. The next one says "Don't hate."
With like a rainbow.
With an 8.
With a rainbow.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Don't hate with an 8.
8 ball.
8 ball.
Are there 8 of them?
Smile with a smile.
I thought there was going to be an 8 motif.
Yeah.
No.
Me
So
too.
Don't
the first one that I opened.
Wrong way with no W for the just a RONG. And the final.
Oh, this is the one I saw.
The final treat is "Be Cool."
I was over here. You were telling that Star Wars story, and I dug in to find the candy, and I very carefully extracted that, opened up, just like glanced inside of that piece of cardboard, and just saw "Be Cool," and then just sort of silently closed it all back up again.
The letter B and then KOOL. This is basically the.
Good pacifiers.
Jake, you basically experienced the Big Lebowski scene.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's in Jackie Treehorn's house, and he shades down the tablet, and it's just a guy with a huge dick.
Yeah.
As Nick was explaining the Star Wars thing, he sort of surreptitiously, carefully lifted the little cardboard folder.
Be cool. Okay, I'm just in a different reality than Nick is right now, so I'll just fold this back up and return to the Star Wars thing for a while.
These are like Smarties.
Oh, they're all like Smarties. You want one?
Oh, I'm good. Thank
really
you,
good.
though. I'm good.
Danielle's healthy.
Yeah, no, here, give me those.
Do you want "Wrong Way"?
Wrong way. Oh, man. This is so good.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold on to these and use them to silently communicate with my co-hosts.
This one got wrong way.
When we're off topic, I'll just hold this up.
Wrong way.
When someone's getting too animated.
Yeah.
Be cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
be cool.
Don't
hate. That's right.
so you could use "don't hate," "be cool." Those are different sentiments.
Yeah. Well, this is good. I'm going to leave these right
This
here.
is excellent.
When someone's going on too long and you want them to just move on, you get skate.
Skate. Yep, skate on.
When someone's being a big piece of shit, you can just put smile.
When you're being a big piece of shit to someone else who's annoyed at you, you just smile.
You play the younger sibling card
Yeah,
of just
exactly.
a smug grin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shit-eating grin.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Thank you for that.
This treat held a fractal of tweets or treats
A
inside
fractal of tweets.
Fractal of tweets.
Well, there's the episode title.
This week's reader mail was weirdly three-dimensional and multi and fractal.
We got a bunch of good reader mail this week, and I didn't read any of it because we did all this weird meta reader mail.
There's
we will
so
be back
much
to normal reader mail next week, and there's been a bunch of good stuff. If you have stuff you would like us to read on the podcast, send it to questions@idlethumbs.net. There are a number of other great shows on our website, idlethumbs.net, including our newest show, Esports Today, which is hosted by Rob Zachney of 3 Moves Ahead and Andrew Gruen. And they, every week, round up all the latest stuff that has happened in the world of professional and competitive gaming. It's a really, really good kind of way to dip your toe into esports, even if you are not already kind of fully initiated in that world. And if you are, it's a good way to keep up with it. Nick is flashing me the "be cool"
he's
sign.
giving you "be cool."
Nick wanted to remind you that though it's a podcast about something pretty hardcore like esports and pro gaming, it is actually usually only a 30 to 40 minute listen, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and accessible. Yes.
Nick is telling us to smile. He's not Nick.
If you like that show or this show or any of our shows, it would mean a lot to us if you could give us a review on iTunes. It's a great way for us to spread awareness of our shows and make them a little more easy to find on the iTunes service. If you think we deserve it, we would appreciate it. Thanks very much. And tell a friend if you like any of these shows. That is also that's probably the other best way we spread the word.
Tell a friend to smile and be cool.
Exactly.
And listen to our podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Don't hate.
Thank you.
Hey, babe.
Hi, babe.
Hi, babe.
It's really weird. So like
Okay, hold on.
So I just opened up my email this morning and it's from how do you pronounce this name,
Is it
Chris?
an Italian name?
Yeah, it's very exotic. And she says,
been real.
Hi, babe. I'm sending you here the details of flights, hotels, and dates of the trip. Love you, and I'm going to miss you a lot. And she says,
been real.
Hi, babe. I'm sending you here the details of flights, hotels, and dates of the trip. Love you, and I'm going to miss you a lot. And it's this, 3-page list of just details about what this person's doing for the next month.
Oh my God.
I know. It's insane.
This is really
it's an intense trip.
Itinerary.
They go to the East Coast and then all the way down, and then they get on a cruise and
So it's not spam then, probably.
No.
Yeah, this doesn't
look like real email.
So I looked her up because here's the thing. She inevitably, right? Whoever babe is has to be close to my name. There has to be
It's Rick
your
Brecken.
doppelganger.
Nick Breedon.
Yeah. I think it's Rick Brecken. I think that's who it is.
That's what I wanted to determine. Impossible to determine. I found her on Facebook. I found her on Instagram.
Nate
Big
Brecken.
Macklemore fan. Very interesting. Goes to every Macklemore concert in the world.
Wow.
But also pictures of her and her boyfriend. No tags on these pictures. So there's no way for me to know what this guy's name is, but it's driving me nuts. I need to know.
You are fully Goldbluming right now.
I need to know.
No tags. No tags.
No tags. No tags. No tags. Big Macklemore fan, goes to all the shows. Found her on Facebook. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Anyway.
I really thought that was going to be...
Anyway,
I really thought
we
that
won't
was
be
gonna
seeing Nick Brecken for the next few weeks. He's got a little traveling to do.
The first thing I thought was I could just shadow this person if I wanted to. I could just follow her on her entire trip. I could go over to every stop. I could just be there.
Be like, hey,
and how
babe.
crazy would that be? She just, once, okay, you say hi, so she'll remember you 2 weeks from then, right? Just you pass her in the hotel room, and you go, hello. And then in the hotel hallway, you go, hello. Oh, hello. And then a week later, you're just there, across from her in a cafe.
In a different city.
Oh, weird.
Oh, my God.
It goes to a ton of different states and cities.
And then there's a cruise. You're just behind her in line, getting on the ship. How strange.
You're wearing a Macklemore shirt the whole time. It's just
exactly.
We're both fans, right?
Oh, man. I feel like there's a lot of potential there.
There's a lot.
I've seen you around so much, I just figured I should introduce myself. My name's Macklemore.
Mac.
Yeah.
My name is nick.brecken@gmail.com.
The
Ring any
adventures.
bells?
Yeah.
I replied to the...
Babe.
God. Yeah.
Hey there, babe.
Yeah. Anyway.
You may have noticed me
I
in
won't be
your
on the podcast
Facebook
for the next month or two.
Yeah.
We got places
My
to be.
apologies.
Man,
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
very
most
important.
extreme. I was reading some articles today. I read one article that spiraled into a first-hand account and some other stuff about this really fucked up phenomenon of men who use ride-sharing, guys who use that to try and meet women and get dates.
Oh.
So they will just cancel rides if they see that they're matched with a dude, and then if they're matched with a woman, they will just take the ride. And they schedule really long rides.
Oh my God.
So that in the attempt to, be in the car for a long time with the person.
Cool.
With their PUA techniques, I'm sure, as well.
God, that reminds me of a
Don't
similar
neg in the
story,
first
actually.
mile.
But from the other side of things, I was riding with a cab driver, and he just had gotten off the Muni bus. He's a Muni driver during the day, and which is the bus system in San Francisco. And he was telling me everything you want to know about the Muni system in San Francisco, like the inside scoop. And one thing he said is that women who drive buses for Muni are so tired of putting up with crap that they actually intentionally act crazy. He said this is a thing. He said every single woman driver that you see who has a weird twitch or just does something weird every now and then, he's like, oh yeah, they get off there, they're totally normal. They're just fucking with you. They're just trying not to have a normal day. So there's a whole class of worker that just has to act nuts so that their life isn't miserable at work.
Wow.
It's so weird. And Janelle, my girlfriend Janelle was just
immediately
immediately, because she rides the bus every day, she's like, oh, I know exactly what he's talking
makes
about.
a lot
That's
of sense,
my bus driver every morning. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
What a weird thing.
I feel like women have to do that just to ride the bus all the time, too.
Yeah.
I'm a very friendly person and I talk to anyone, but there have definitely been some very strange situations on the bus where it's like, it's better to just either be in your own world so obviously that even the most not sensitive to that kind of person will not talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes all kinds of sense to me hearing that this is a thing.
Yeah. My bus ride into work this morning on Muni, it was a woman bus driver who was very normal, saying normal things into the PA, and she probably regretted it because the entire time that I was on from BART to the office, there was a guy who was just standing in front of the yellow line, just sort of just looking halfway towards the driver's side. She kept being like, "Sir, there's a lot of empty seats. Would you like to sit down?" And he would just sort of just nod his head back and forth, and then just keep staring. So I guess that's why you start just acting crazy, so that people don't want anything to do with you and are afraid of you.
Yeah.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
Anyway, Nick, can't wait for you to take this cruise.
That was.
Yep. Anyway, see you guys next week. Questions at idlethumbs.net.
Or a video game podcast.